We're back for practice number 13, and Adam, final week of spring football, and Mel Tucker, started things off. Last Friday they had their second scrimmage, and he said, "I want to see how they react on Monday." And remember, last Monday was not a good one, and he was eager to see how they looked on Monday. He was pretty pleased about today.
Yeah, he said they have finally figured out the meaning of why there should be a sense of urgency every day in practice. That's been something that they've been trying to hammer into this team. And so there's always an adjustment period with the new staff, and it seems like they're kind of catching on to that. And again, we heard last week guys were demoted if they weren't physical enough. Mel Tucker said that they did a lot better job tackling in the second scrimmage, which is pretty natural, he said, going from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage. So now just one more practice before the spring game. And the biggest challenge is, like we've kind of hinted at all spring, is that just, now that they're banged up on the D-line, it's going to be tough for them. They're not going to be able to, have players draft teams, so the coaches will have to do that this year.
Yeah, we asked him, what kind of format there'd be for the spring game, and he said he doesn't really know right now. Kind of depends on who's available, which, 2 practices out, means that there's some guys that are out right now. And we talked about on Friday, there was only 4 healthy defensive linemen that were participating in the scrimmage on Friday. If you've only got 4 this week, that's going to be kind of tough. But we'll see. He does want it to be game-like, however, so fans that are coming out, I don't think it's going to be like this spring showcase that it's been. I think it will be game-like. It's just going to be interesting to see how much of it we see.
Yeah, you want to put on a show for the fans as best you can. But, I don't know when it happened. Sometime in the last 15 years, the spring game kind of got blown out of proportion in terms of its importance. I'm sure what they did in their scrimmage on Friday was probably just as important for this program as whatever they do on Saturday. It's more for the fans to get out there and get a glimpse of things.
So we were able to talk to a few people today. You talked to Tyson Summers, the defensive coordinator, probably about some safeties, about defense in general. What did he have to say?
Well, the main thing he said is that this spring is about getting the concepts, and I think he said there's about 50 calls they still have not taught the players. So there's still going to be thrown a lot at these players during camp, and we've heard that this defense has more differences than similarities, and he didn't want to get into specifics. He said, I don't really want to put out a whole lot of information for our opponents, but we're going to be much different than the previous defense that they ran. And I asked him which guy had made the biggest jump from the beginning of spring ball to now, and he pointed out Jalen Sammy, one of the few guys on that D-line that's been able to stay healthy. He said he's really just become the player that they needed him to be this spring. And then on the back end, Tyson Summers is working with the safeties. He mentioned the guy you talked to today, Darian Rakestraw, is the guy that's been the most consistent in that group, that has been asking him, hey, coach, I want more homework so I can get better. And it's a great story because this is somebody that came in as a receiver, moved to corner, and has really started to kind of blossom in that safety role.
Yeah, and talking to Darian, he told me, he said, I'll always miss receiver, but I like safety a lot better than corner. And he's starting to get it. He was moved there about this time last year, he said, with about 3 practices left in the spring. So he's now had about a full year to work at safety. Took some lumps last season when he had to go out there. He said he probably wasn't as prepared as he needed to be. He's working to correct that now. But Tyson Summers told me he's been probably the one that's worked the hardest at it this spring. But there's a lot of guys competing in there. I know you talked to another one of them, but Darian Rakestraw right now seems to be kind of the number one guy right now. Not that there's a huge separation, but it sounds like he's the guy. But you talked to Aaron Maddox as well.
Yeah, this guy has had now 3 surgeries on his shoulder and had a foot issue as well. But he said his foot is going to get cleared this Saturday. I don't know if that means he's going to be out there for the spring game, but kind of bad timing that he's had to do a lot more mental reps than actually getting out there. Hassan Hippolyte's been able to be more active, but when it's a foot deal, you got to stay off that more so than with Hassan with the shoulder. So we saw glimpses of him having big-time potential, and Aaron Maddox told me, he goes, I hope I showed the fans that I have a passion for this sport and that I'm going to bring it. He's going to be playing more of a traditional safety role than he did last year, where he's more closer to the line of scrimmage in a nickelback role. So it's going to be a really interesting competition. I think Darian Rakestraw did a really good job from what we've heard of not solidified in a starting job, but maybe getting a head start towards a starting job. Hassan Hippolyte, Mel Tucker has said he expects him to be one of their better football players. Aaron Maddox is going to be hard to keep off the field as well. And then don't forget about Isaiah Lewis, who we've talked about before. So I don't really feel great about their depth at safety still. but I feel better about it today than I did before spring ball started.
And a guy we mentioned before that Mark Perry, one of the true freshmen
Right.
coming in that they're excited about, plays safety. That of all the true freshmen, maybe one of the few that you put the short list of guys that will play this next year, but we'll see. I talked to Ross Ells about the inside linebacker position, and he feels a lot better about the depth there. He said the same as he said last year. He goes, we don't want guys playing just two linebackers and playing 800 snaps, but they've had to because of depth. But now they've got some depth, and he mentioned Nate Lamb has just taken that extra step and been more like he's taken over that Rick Gamboa role of really leading the defenses. Not quite where Rick was last year, but maybe where Rick was 2 years ago, as far as being able to call the defense. But again, it's a new defense. Aside from that, he said, take everybody else, just kind of throw them in a hat. And different days, different guys are stepping up. John Van Diest and Akil Jones have been running with the ones. Chase Newman and Ray Robinson with the twos a little bit. So then you get those guys coming in the summer, the JUCO transfers. So a lot of depth there. We'll see if they can play.
Yeah, I really like Quinn Perry's film.
Yeah.
He's a guy that had a background in rugby, didn't really focus 100% on football until last offseason. And I don't know, you look at his JUCO film from his sophomore season, it looks like pretty top-level stuff. So John Van Diest, I've heard, has been running with the ones the last week or so.
Yeah.
And it's great to see him stay healthy for this extended period of time. That's always the question with him is just he's had, been in the trainer room a lot, dating back to his junior year of high school. But I really like his closing speed, and he's got a great personality and can lead there as well, even being a younger guy. Akil Jones, we saw turn the corner last year. He's healthy again. So, again, you want those guys to prove it, but I don't think it's quite as dire straits as maybe we thought it was going to be a month ago.
Yeah, it sounds like Chase Newman and Ray Robinson coming on a little bit as well. So maybe some depth there at inside linebacker, which we haven't seen. But anything else for this practice?
No.
All right, awesome. Well, that'll be it for today. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about practice number 14 already.
All right.